All righty, good afternoon. Welcome to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. I'm gonna pull off AUY here, okay? And I'm only going to pull this off for the reason that I need the. We've been in now for 4 days. I need to pull it off to be able to get into another challenge trade. I'm simply taking profit. Still very bullish on the gold miner group and sector. In fact, for the candlestick challenge today, most likely I will get into another gold miner. Okay, and look to do that. So, those of you who are, who may not need the funds to get in the next trade or something like that, I can't give you a great reason to get out of AUY and to pull that off, other than that profit-taking reason, so I can set up a trade later today. It is hitting near the upper Bollinger Band as the bands are tightening. Okay, so you can look at that and say, you know what, there may be a little bit of resistance here overall starting to come in, but that's probably I don't expect that resistance area to hold very much here. So I'm going to cash out of my 12 contracts. We'll see what price I can get in here. Let's see if we can get $1.33. All right, cashed us out at $1.33. Okay, so we sold here at $1.33 on AUY. Exit price $1.33. You should get the updates here any second. Okay, so we cashed out of AUY at $1.33. And it looks like that post has gone out. Okay, so we cashed out of AUY at $1.33. So we entered at 85 cents, got out at $1.33, so we got about 48 cents out of that. About 55%, somewhere in that area. Our original price target on AUY was 1040, and we went up and hit that here this morning, and it did it hit that 1040 area. It weakened off of that level, so we were happy to go ahead and take it here and move on. Now, the other candlestick trade that we're in here is XLE. I've gotten a lot of questions, a lot of emails on XLE. The XLE is still set up in a very bearish way. We still have our island reversal, with the market itself continuing to rally. It's gotten this little low volume bleed a little bit higher right up to our stopping point here around 86 and a half. Carl mentioned this morning we're going to give it a little more time. 87. This is one of the things about these island reversals is that stopping point can be a little ambiguous. Just given the low volume nature of the rally, I'm much more apt to still give that a chance to basically work here for us. Okay. Uh, with AUY, we are out. We just exited AUY here at $1.33. Now, gold miners are still very bullish. They're still extremely bullish here. I'd love to find an entry here on Newmont from a candlestick standpoint. We have strong potential here for a rising three methods bullish pattern. Okay, going on here with Newmont. We have ABX. HMY, all with pretty bullish patterns. Look, these gold miners can move and move fast. They'll give us dip opportunities to basically to buy into here. The SLV that we're in for the trend rider here, up about 4 cents. Not really doing much here today. I was very surprised to see it hold up the way it did on Friday after the big gap down. But while it feels like a big gap down, or notice how small and nominal the movement is here with SLV. SLV can really move. It can be an aggressive mover in both directions. Okay. Vaughn, you say you've been on a Kihu, Sohu, and Baidu for a week now. What do you consider the reason they are down so steeply? Um, Biggest reason for me looking at this market is profit taking from the high flyers. We're seeing that across the board with a lot of these high flyers. Valuations are very rich here. That they are rich. Momentum has been very strong. Sohu earnings today were a miss. Creates the big drop there. Baidu kind of getting a little bit affected by that. But there's some very serious topping signals coming into this group, and it's just a group that I think may be done for a while, and may finally have some sort of 25 to 30% pullback, and kind of you know give another entry point later on. But you have to take into account how much they are this year, and that's one of the things that very few people in the news. When you turn on CNBC, it's ultra bulls all over the place. And they keep talking about how bullish this market is and how it's going to keep going up, but they fail to mention that some of the valuations on some of these stocks have frankly gotten completely out of hand. Have gotten tremendously ridiculous, and so to see some sort of pullback, I mean, you see this Baidu pullback, what it looks like in the big picture, it's nothing. But when we look at some of the divergences going on from a negative divergence standpoint within our various indicators, just tells me, hey, you know what? There'll probably be another day for them, but it's not today to be the hero and buy the dips on them. Okay. Carl and I talked about buying Baidu last week, and you know what? As it had that fresh move above the 7, and we talked about it, and I couldn't get excited about it just because we've seen this type of action so many times. And we got Tesla, coming off. We got Facebook coming off. A lot of these high flyers, really, a lot of profit taking going on in them. Yeah, how would I trade Triple M? The earnings here, overall, it's one of the most bullish charts out there. No real signs of pullback just yet. It's kind of like Boeing. I just look at it as if you want to ride something like Triple M, you ride it with the 7 and keep on trucking it higher. When you look at Triple M from a valuation standpoint, okay, you are talking about some PEs that are a little bit extended relative to historical numbers here, and it's just pretty. Look, it's one of those. If the market holds up, it's going to do very well. If the market pulls back here, it's got a long way to drop. By long way for Triple M, I'm talking down to about 120, 118 type of a haircut. So uh, it's tough for me to be a buyer of Triple M here, with it being as valued where it is. It doesn't have the growth to justify the PE ratios that are on it at this point, and it doesn't mean it can't continue higher. But we're also hitting some sort of little upward trend line here. Obviously, I couldn't get short it right here, but if this starts to break the 7, I wouldn't argue with anybody wanting to short it there. Yeah, oh, absolutely, Max. Things are badly valued when CEO says the stock is wrongly priced. Netflix and Tesla. Yeah, I mean, look, we've had a spurt of ridiculousness in general in this market. Even things like Micron hitting valuations that are just, yeah, yeah, could they keep going up? Absolutely. We saw in .com, we saw valuations get extended and things continue to rise 100, 200%. I mean, U.S. Steel, let me just pull up U.S. Steel here. Okay, here in '07 and '08, when this thing, I remember when U.S. Steel hit 120 and going, gee whiz, from a valuation standpoint, this is absolutely ridiculous. And the stock continued to go up to 180. You see what happens once it fell, but stocks. There are a lot of stocks, not all of them, but there are a lot of stocks with some of these ridiculous valuations that are on them. And once the momentum starts to come off, and AK, your inputs on Tesla. Okay. And once some of the excitement starts to come off and people start to get in a sell mode on these, they typically will sell faster and stronger than they were ever bought up. Okay, and so, if this is the top on them, the downfall can be very strong. Just take a look at Netflix. Which, those of you shorting Netflix here, I just absolutely can't argue with. But, once this thing started to come off here in 2011, started to break its upward trend, you see how hard that fell, how much that fell, and it fell so much faster than it ever went up. And, if I put this on a monthly, you can see it a little bit better. But, you see how trucks higher for 2 years takes 3 months to basically erase all of that. And that's the nature of these types of stocks and what can happen out there. And we are seeing serious weakness in the Netflixes and the Teslas of the world out there. I did go price some Netflix options here today. I may not be able to resist getting into it. Okay. Yes, Carl talked about Raytheon. Raytheon here up almost 2%. Beautiful signal on Friday. SJM, which, we can't really play because the options aren't good enough here, continues on higher. SJM shows all signs of going and setting a new high. You could say, well, maybe there's resistance here at 114, but notice the complete lack of volume there. So it's not really going to be a resistance point. And this stock's probably going to 120. Probably going to 120 there. And then AT&T, another one that benefits greatly from lower interest rates. Okay, very bullish move here, holding 35. You're probably looking at next stop for AT&T somewhere around 36 and a half to 37. But with these, you basically ride them with the 7. You basically ride them up with the 7-day moving average on them, and continue to play them higher from there. These are all beneficiaries. Well, not Raytheon. Raytheon's its own separate story, but all beneficiaries of the TLT kind of going up and rates falling. And I know a couple of you are in Hershey, which getting a huge monster move here today. I'm going to go test triple digits up there at about 100. And I was commenting to Carl earlier today that it was really interesting how bullish some groups look and how bearish other groups look. The difference, the dichotomy there, and something we haven't seen in a while. Max, you'll be away till the close. Any plan to get in any trades? Yeah, we are planning on getting into another candlestick trade. Haven't decided which one. Newmont is the one that interests me the most, and the fact that it's pulling back, I absolutely love. I'd love for this to be sitting somewhere around 27.80, 27.90 into the close. Be able to go after Newmont around there. Okay.
to the upside. Another one that's very interesting from a candlestick perspective is CNX, Consol Energy. Consol Energy sold some of their assets here today, some of their coal assets, and CNX used to be a coal company. All right, they were a coal company, but CNX over the last couple of years has really been trying to make a transition into natural gas. Today they sold some of their coal assets and they gapped down on that. Okay, they gapped down on that and have been kind of rallying back and created a very bullish candle action here for CNX on really nice volume, and so looking to potentially trade that higher. Here as well for the candlestick challenge. So the gold miners, CNX, those are some of the things I have my eyes on. From a put standpoint, Disney is a little bit tempting to me with the spinning doji on Friday, the breakdown here today, but it's not it's not too bad there. Yeah, Max, I won't make that trade till the close here. For the candlesticks, while there is some candlestick potential, it's a little too early to play that, but Disney has some potential there. From a bearish side. Max, you were looking at Vegas Sands here today, and that has some pretty interesting downside. MGM has some trend rider bear potential kind of coming in. But all in all, from a broad market standpoint, there aren't a whole lot of signals out there today. Not a whole lot. Most of the haircuts, most of the trimming that we're seeing happening is within the high flyer stocks, the real aggressive type stocks. I am curious on Mosaic today. Carl talked about Mosaic. Notice it after they bought all those assets, it failing here at the upper Bollinger Band. We get some sort of dark cloud candle here after those earnings out of potash. Um, because really, what did they do? They bought assets that weren't earning a whole lot of money, and we see this bearish action here be very interesting to go after. Another stock that very curious here. Ford gapped up, broke above these resistance levels, had full breakout potential on Thursday, was not able to keep those gains, pulled back Friday, pulling back a little today off its highs. If Ford is able to close below around 17 and a half, that could be a very interesting downside entry here as we go forward. Another one to me that's very interesting for those looking for puts is Caterpillar. We talked about Caterpillar last week, and they gapped down. Then they had this nice bullish engulfing on Thursday, and we talked about why. And it really, Caterpillar still has this stock buyback, and one of the worst things they can do is let their stock gap down on earnings and let it free fall and flush. And so what do? They step in, they buy back some of their stock, take a temporary reprieve here from some of the selling. Okay, they've done that successfully. Now time for the next leg lower as they potentially back off of that buyback. I think there's a really good chance for that to occur, for that to happen here with Caterpillar. Apple earnings today, right? And Apple questions have flooded my inbox. Apple here, bottom line with Apple, it's probably going to go up on earnings. Why do I say that? Just simply because think about it if you're in the shoes of Tim Cook. You have activist investors breathing down your neck right now, right? You have them breathing down your neck. If you come out with an earnings report that creates a strong gap lower, the pressure that you're going to have from those activist investors is going to be ratcheted up even higher. So you have a lot of incentive to make your stock jump. Even enough incentive to take some of your buyback and start buying stock on the earnings report after hours and pushing it higher. Okay. So there's a lot of incentive to push it higher. Does that mean it's definitely going higher? No. But the incentives speak to that direction, okay, and to pushing it higher. I probably won't play it, but um, that's kind of my 2 cents, my small take there on Apple. Alrighty, well, I'll be on back on in about an hour, and we'll talk candlesticks, talk about some of the setups here, and look at the potential trades that we have coming down the pipe. Again, we did exit AUY at $1.33. Nice little gain there. So we took off AUY, and we'll look to get back into those gold miners. I really would like to be long those gold miners. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.